Hey everyone, welcome back to ShePropTalk. I am Beverly, your host, and today's guest is such a wonderful, lovely human. She's one of my favorite humans of all time, seriously and honestly. Um, Welcome, Abie Ekenezer from Babs Cosplay and also BabsEK
Hmm. Yeah,
Productions. Oh my God.
BabsEK.
I wrote all this stuff down like I was gonna like just launch into it and say everything perfectly, but of course I screwed it up a little bit. Um, Welcome, Abby. Thank you
I
so much
love
for being
you.
here.
Thank you for having me. I've been following SheProp since it first started. Since we moved from other Amazonian groups.
Yes.
And have I've just been in love and enamored with seeing all of the different you know uh just things, items that people have been making, right? And I've been so benefited because I'm still learning myself. Warbler hates me. Warbler is not my best
Oh.
friend, but it is so great to see a previously dominated uh, place or space by men, and to have women doing this or women identifying and knowing that this can be open to anybody. I love it. I love it so much. It's freaking fantastic.
Good. Well, I love it too, and I'm really appreciative of you for being in the community because you have been there since like the very beginning when it
Mhm.
started back in just a couple of years ago now.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's only been a couple of years that we've had this group, but so we're from kind of the same Pacific Northwest area. I think that we meet at Emerald City? I feel like you've always been in my life, but I know that we met at for the first time at some point. I just can't
Yeah,
put
I
my
want to say that it
finger
was
on it.
Emerald, but it could have been Rose
It
even
could have been
too.
Rose City.
No,
Yeah.
you were, yes, because you were dressed up as Lady Sif
Oh man,
a
that was the
long
beginning
time
of,
ago.
yeah, okay. That was the
Yeah.
beginning of the end for me
Yeah.
with cosplay.
Yeah, you were dressed as Lady Sif,
Oh my gosh.
and I was just so in love with that cosplay too, just because Thor and
Oh,
Marvel. But
yeah.
I
And
was just
she's
like, I was in
beautiful.
love with the detail and everything. And I was just
Oh,
like, how can I get on your freaking level? Because I'm getting on my knees right now because I am not worthy
stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
at all.
Oh my gosh. Well, I can't believe that it's only been a few years that that we've known each other because I feel like well, one thing right now, we're not going to cons right now because, you know, the world is not
Yeah.
allowing us to. And I really like there are some people that I really miss because I feel like the conventions are like a family gathering for a lot of us. Like we find our
Absolutely.
families, we have made new families within the community,
Yeah.
and you're my family. I
Yeah.
you're just amazing.
I feel
And
the same way.
listeners, listeners, if you don't know Abby, you would love her, and you're probably familiar with her at least. But I you should definitely go check out all of her social medias, and we will get to that in just a second. But we have so much that I want to talk to you about because you are you are not just a cosplayer. You have so much experience and so many other things that are parallel and intersecting with cosplay, and it's just like you're like the embodiment of a creative, amazing, talented human that I just yeah, where do I even start? Can you can you tell can you tell us a little bit about who you are and kind of what you do, and then we'll just take it from there. And I know that this might take a
Yeah.
while because you have your hands in so many different things and so many different projects and stuff. It's so inspiring to me. So I'm going to shut up now and I'm going to let you talk.
Well, first and foremost, I am a mom. I have an amazing 19-year-old son. Yes, I had him when I was 2. So, that
Because
happened.
you're only
Miracles do happen,
26.
ladies and gentlemen. uh, shortly after I had him, I joined the Navy and got out and ended up getting stationed over here in Washington
Okay.
and fell in love because I grew up in the UK. I grew up in London, right outside of central London, actually in Clapham. And the weather was, was very much the same. And
Yeah,
so I
for sure.
decided to stay because I loved it. I grew up I was born in Newark, New Jersey, but it's very like-minded there, right? It's very close-minded too. And I think a lot of it I had um, developed. I never knew about the world of conventions, but I was always a nerd, massive nerd, to the point where I was like poked fun at constantly because I would always like
Uh,
pretend to be Storm.
mm,
Hence the blonde hair. Hasn't turned white
mhm.
just yet. But I would always pretend to be, these fictional characters and everything. And so but my whole thing was different. Like I tried to incorporate, parts of like my culture. Like and the reason why I was so in love with Storm was because she was an African, you know, superhero,
Yeah.
right? So like having an African-based superhero who had, a different accent than the English one, that was me. So that was like my childhood, my embodiment. My parents obviously thought that I was being succumbed to Satan himself most of the time, and always believed that. And so,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I think most international kids would, or kids with international parents would absolutely 100% understand that. Uh, so getting stationed over here, it's one of those things that like I love the area. I didn't really know too much about the community just yet.
Mhm.
And so I came here and discovered that I was home. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh,
there's a huge fan base, a nerd fan base here,
there is a
uh,
big one.
and
Yeah.
it actually got me the chance and the ability to extend that into like filmmaking. I've always wanted to be an actress, but never had um, the gumption to do it because I was a scaredy little cat. And that whole process of getting on a stage and imagining people naked in front of you never works. It is not true. It is not something you want to ever subject yourself
I
to
I agree
ever.
with that. Yeah. No, no, no thanks.
It is not okay ever. You can be traumatized for a very long time, and I've done that. So Um, it was one of those things that like I always wanted to get into stage. And then I eventually learned that it wasn't stage that I wanted to get into. I wanted to get into film and TV. And there's a
Mm.
huge difference when it comes to those two, right? Like,
What's the
um,
difference?
well, stage, you are performing the same thing over and over again in front of different
Mhm.
people, right? And it is nonstop.
Mhm.
Whereas film or television, you get a chance to take breaks in
Yeah.
between. You don't have to have all your lines memorized right away. You could literally like memorize 3 or 4 lines, say a scene, have it be someone else's scene, and you're off memorizing lines again, right,
Yeah.
for the next
Yeah.
scene. And then, sometimes they'll take different takes so they can make sure they get your good side.
Yeah.
Whereas on stage, you never have a good side.
Yeah. You never have a good side.
Ever. And you're so much more you're so much more on stage because you're
Mhm.
trying to reach those people that are all the way in the back. So you're
Mhm.
literally broadcasting, and it is a different tackle. When you're doing film or television, you have to be more expressive in your face
Mhm.
compared to your actions, or your voice, right?
Mhm.
And so I've learned that being here more, and a lot of that comes from the cosplay community. and doing
Yeah.
cosplay, because with cosplay you're a character, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
And they're
love that.
performing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So like
Yeah.
all of those avenues are intertwined with one another, and it's definitely wonderful, and I'm so glad that I've had the opportunity to be a part of that and to meet people like you and others that have welcomed me so wholeheartedly. It's one of the things I absolutely love, and I'm so glad that I get to do these things, especially now, in a time where our media is changing, and I can be a part of that change. So,
Yeah, that is amazing. I haven't talked to very many people who have used have gone back and forth maybe between cosplay and another kind of extension of some of the things that you would normally that you would use with cosplay, like the performative aspect of it, or like getting up on stage or getting dressed up in something and taking that chance. Like maybe this isn't something, this is way out of your wheelhouse and you're a little bit uncomfortable, and
yeah,
being in front of people and um, kind of overcoming that. And I know a lot of people use costumes as a chance to step out of their own skin and
yeah,
kind of, embody something else or a different character, like step into the shoes of Storm.
yeah.
Um, are there are there any characters that you love for your cosplay side? And then are there other characters? Would you like to play those same characters in a film?
Oh
Is there
my
something
God.
that you would ever like that you would do together, like at the
This
same
is
time?
this is literally a thing that I'm advocating for right now.
Okay.
um, um, so a lot of people know that I have a Batwoman cosplay,
Mhm.
and I had a really great friend actually commissioned to help do this cosplay because I was absolutely in love, am absolutely in love with the comic book character. Um, Marka Draco was the one that I had my friend help me fashion this specific Batwoman off of, mainly because she was the first LGBT character in the comic books before, all of the other ones came out
Mhm.
of the closet,
Mhm.
and it's been a
Yeah.
rainbow parade. Um, and being a queer woman myself, it's been one of those situations where, I had a chance to finally like play a character who was kind of in my wheelhouse, and then they made it a show, and I'm like, hey, so you lost your lead? Do you need
Yeah.
another one? Because
Yeah.
I'm an actress. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Ha, I'll
Uh-huh.
help if you want me to. I'll even do it for free. Seriously. Um, but absolutely yes. Like I said, it's literally on my Instagram. I am absolutely advocating for that right now, and wholeheartedly a part of it. Storm, absolutely too. She is just a beautiful force of and a goddess, and to ever get the chance or the opportunity to play her, I would be so for
Oh
it.
yeah. Yeah.
But it's hard because one person is a woman of color and the other one isn't. So it's like, are you allowed to love both? And I struggle with that for a really long time because um, my cosplay is my gateway drug into the film community, into the creative community, because I would have never ever thought that I could do the things that I did if I didn't know that there were so many other people that were out there doing those things too. And so knowing that I have an audience and having a support system has made it really easy for me to be able to go into these other vices that I've always been interested in being a part of. And now I get a chance to do that. I get a chance to like write these stories. I get a chance to play these characters that I made. I get a chance even outside of that to, cosplay a lot of these characters who were, I feel, made for me.
Mhm.
And it's been an experience.
Yeah. Wow.
It's definitely,
Well,
definitely been an experience.
so you mentioned that you are writing as
Yeah.
well.
Hmm.
So can you tell me about that? I mean, this is just one of the many things that you do. Um, so I always say that this podcast is kind of self-serving because I just want to know about everything that you're doing. But I do feel like the creative aspect of this is still it's all part of creation. It's all part of artistic expression and
Mhm.
your voice.
Yeah,
So yeah, what do you write? I know you have a production company. Like, tell me
do.
all the things. Yes, yes.
Yeah, so as we talked about, before, being performative and everything, and how cosplay has literally guided me into doing all of this stuff. The main reason why I started writing is because of the fact that I was seeing characters that I didn't feel like I could fully identify with.
Hmm.
Um, I was also acting before I started writing, and I was actually writing before I started acting. So I wrote prose and poetry
Oh,
before I got into acting and then screenwriting, mainly because my creative brain needed an outlet.
mm,
And being a child that went through a lot of the things that I went through, trying to figure out my own identity, growing up with Nigerian parents, but living in a place that was not Nigeria.
mm,
England is a totally different world, right?
yeah, yeah.
Especially when you um, have a different background, grow up in a different area, and then have to acclimate to another type of
Hmm.
society, right, or another type of culture. So I wrote all of these experiences down, but I felt like I wasn't really doing anything with it. And so when I got into acting, I was talking to a friend, actually another filmmaker, and I was telling her, I was like, how I was sick and tired of only having the roles available where I was either the drug addict or the
Hmm.
mother of a drug addict or, um, a woman that didn't have much going on for her life, or
Sure.
something, right?
Yeah.
And she literally told me, she was like, shut up. And I was like, what? Like, she's like, I am so sick and tired of you complaining. If you want to make change, you have to do it yourself.
Mhm.
And I was like, shut up. And she's like, what? I was like, you're absolutely right. Like, I was like, I had to give that back to you. But,
Yeah, sure.
she's like, she's literally, she was right. It was up to me because I couldn't keep relying on other people to make this change. And I couldn't
Mm,
wait until years from now,
mhm,
for any kind of change to be made.
mhm,
So I had to do the change myself, and that's when I started, writing these stories. And I absolutely am 100% fortunate that I got the chance to be introduced to one of the production companies that I work for now, Zombie Orpheus Entertainment. They do a lot of nerdy-esque television shows and movies, um, but with a future aspect to it, right?
mhm.
Like pretty much our not modern day Lord of the Rings, but
Okay.
definitely an independent feel, right?
Ooh,
A very
that sounds
independent feel, with
awesome.
comedic orcs instead of
Yeah.
scary ones.
Ooh. Okay,
um,
I'm really liking that a lot.
yeah, yeah, they're very, very funny, and it's all actors here locally, and they're one of the companies that I just, like I said, I was fortunate to be a part of them because we I got introduced to a project that they were working on where it was about making their main character, who was a woman of color, be an actual woman of color,
Mhm.
feel like something that a woman of color would actually do, in her mannerisms and her styles and everything, especially as they were all non-POC people.
Mhm.
It was nice to be included, and hey, we want to do this. We want it to matter, but
Yeah.
we're white, so
Right. Yeah.
we want to make
So,
sure that
yeah.
this makes sense.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like my little puff puff. And I was like, ooh, I really like this. I wonder what would happen if, I went off and ventured on my own and did my own thing. And that's how BabsEK came about was, um, I wanted to have a place where I knew people who wanted to make films that were diverse, first of all, but with a scientific or science fiction or fantasy element, because we barely had any diversity when it came to our comic book stories or our television shows, and I just wanted to encourage that,
Yeah.
so much more. And so that's the reason why I formed the LLC, and we actually were supposed to have our first feature done this year, but
Uh, yeah,
due
thanks,
to
COVID.
COVID. But it's one of those things that we are going to still be in. We're still in pre-production, and we are. It's me along with some other beautiful, amazing, talented women of color who have joined forces with me to make this project happen. And so, we're going through all of the motions that we need to go through. We've gotten our writers, even brought in writers who we would never think would be a part of this. Um, and, it's been a phenomenal process, going into the minds of other people and getting their stories. So the whole project is literally about Octavia Butler, who is an author here in the Pacific Northwest, and she made speculative fiction style stories that were based on culturality, right? Being a part of a certain culture, but having a fantastical aspect to it.
Mhm.
And I had put a call out to find, first of all, I wanted to find any women of color who would be interested in, being a part of this. And I didn't really get too many responses because my field is very small. My
Mhm.
depth of knowing other writers that are women of color is
Mhm.
very small. And I
Mhm.
learned that when I did that out call. So I opened it up to anyone else and got a number of responses, which was, it was great, but it was sad at the same time because, like I said, I did want it to make it a story about here we are, a female author, and I wanted
Mhm.
to bring in female screenwriters,
Mhm.
and so. Uh, I was able to do this, but I did also want to keep the person who is a main writer on another television show who is a very popular television show to be involved in this project. So it kind
Sure.
of worked itself out
Yeah.
really, really well. And we got our screenwriters and they wrote their stories, and we have a so now we have our main writer who is interweaving all of these stories together into
Oh,
one.
wow. Okay.
Uh, and it's magical. Like I've been reading. I mean, obviously I've read all the stories, but I've been reading how she plans on interweaving these stories together, and I am just like, I know I'm not supposed to ask this, but I want to play one of these characters because I just need to, do that. And she's like, well, that's probably not going to work because you can't be, a director and like acting in your own unless you've been doing this for a really long time. And I was like,
Yeah,
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 you're
yeah.
right.
Ah, but what a
uh,
wonderful thing to look at that, and like it speaks to you so much that it's like speaking to you. Like
yeah,
you are being called by it, and that sounds amazing. And I'm sorry that you can't play the part and direct at the
I
same time.
know. Right. I'll probably just be a minor little background character or
Yeah,
something if I
yeah.
can be
Oh.
in my own production. But yeah, no, it should be really interesting. And honestly, screenwriting has been so important because I finally get a chance to give voices to those voices who were never really allowed to be heard or never
Mhm.
given the opportunity to be heard.
Mhm.
And we had a huge conversation about this last week where um, I'm a part of a group here called the Seattle Film Task Force. And we're trying to bring more film to the Pacific Northwest, obviously. Be more like LA, right? Or Vancouver. And I'm on the equity committee, which is about bringing diversity to film. And we had this like guideline of things where we're like, hey, how about we make more stories where it's not stereotypical people of color? And I was like, holy shit, you're so right. Why didn't I ever think of that? You know, like, yeah, yeah. Because that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to do. You know, write these
Mhm,
stories of people
mhm,
of color and showing them in different lights of being different things,
mhm,
you know, but not having them be the typical
mhm.
drug addicts and stuff like that.
Right,
But
right.
everything is like interwoven together, right? So it's like I could, you know, be a woman of color who plays D&D, but you've never really seen that.
Yeah,
You know, like I've never seen that really in any of some of the streaming casts that have been going on. So I'm like, well, where is this person? Because she exists. I
right,
exist.
right.
Where is she? You
Yeah.
know? So yeah, it was really my focus on, you know, having my own creative outlet and act blacktivism my own way and doing
Hmm.
that in the stories that I write. And
Hmm.
so I will continue to write as many stories as I am allowed to.
That's
um,
incredible.
yeah, and you know, even bring my friends along for the journey if I can.
Hmm. Hmm. I can only imagine that your process with this. It feels like there's so many new parts of what you are doing that are feeding your soul that maybe you didn't even know that you needed that to be fed, or you did, but it sounds like a lot of things are coming together in really positive, wonderful ways.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, that is so great. So do you still, I mean, not to bring it back to cosplay, but
Yeah.
are you going to be like designing the costumes or anything like that? Do
Yeah.
you have like a vision? I mean, I can only imagine you must have a big vision for everything because you've worked on films and TV productions as well. So
Uh-huh.
you've been all over that whole process before, and you have experience
Yeah.
in
Picking
yeah,
costumes and props
yeah,
and all
yeah,
kinds of fun stuff.
and
Yeah.
making them as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with this one, I definitely am in with the creative process, especially when it comes to finding out what these characters are going to look like, because it's our job to make sure that they hold true to the story. And so, with a lot of the scripts that I've been writing, they've been very descriptive of what the characters look like.
Hmm. Hmm.
What I mean, all the way down to, you know, what they're wearing for nail polish, right? It's very important for me to make sure that these characters are not the everyday boring characters that people see on television. You know, these people have flair, they have style, they are intuitive, and they're smart. You
Hmm.
know, they're not, they should never be seen as just like one type of person. And that's why character creation is very important for me. I am usually the world builder when it comes
Okay.
to creating these stories, and then I turn them into words on a page. And I turn them into actions on a page. I mean, this one that I'm writing for a friend right now, it was half of it is in Victorian time.
Hmm.
Um, Another half of it is modern day UK, and then another part of it is modern day Seattle, and then another
Hmm.
part of it is
Okay.
on an alien spaceship somewhere.
Wow.
So you can think
Oh,
of
I
all of
love
the
it.
different costumes that are going to be involved in that one.
Yeah.
And creating that whole process and everything. And I'm
Yeah.
so excited to, you know, see what comes out of it. And a lot of it is pulling from other creative outlets, right?
Hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
Usually where I get my inspirations, I'll watch television and I'll start writing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'll look at the background and the consensus of the television show, and I'm just like, ooh, they did that not good. Okay, let's do something different. Just like,
Right.
oh, that was bad too.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Right? And
Sure.
just like
Yeah.
pulling like different aspects
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everything from
Yeah.
those creative means, and actually like looking at costumes from other outlets too, and saying, oh, this is really, really cool. Okay, what else am I gonna put here? What else am I gonna put here? I'm gonna put this here, so on and so forth. And that's what it is to be a cosplayer, right?
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like,
sure.
okay, I have an outfit. I know what I want. Now I need to figure out the material that they use in the specific show in the specific episode at this specific time,
Right.
and doing that. I mean, I remember, the one time when you made a cape full of feathers.
Oh gosh,
And I
that
was
was
just like,
insanity.
who is this person? And
She's
I
a
am
crazy
going to
person.
kidnap her and put her into my basement and just have her be the set costumer person on one of my sets, because she is
Ah,
insane and I love her for
I
being
volunteer as
for
tribute.
for for doing that, because holy crap, that is like beautiful dedication. But yeah, it's that kind of like influence, and you've had that influence on me, especially
Oh,
when it comes to like making my own cosplays and everything, is matching certain kinds of material, and figuring out what kind of dyes that you have to use. I have a pot that's dedicated to my dyes from now on, instead of, and if
good.
my mom saw me using this pot, she'd probably try to kill me because I'm supposed to cook goat meat in that pot, but not
Oh
anymore.
no. Oh no.
Not anymore. No, mom, this is to dye my fabric. Eh, eh, excuse me? What? What? Dye fabric? Why do you want your fabric to dye? Huh? I need that kind of conversation in my life.
Oh my
But
God.
yeah, no, it's literally seeing things like that and seeing how badass my friends are,
Mm.
that gives me inspiration to be on that same level, or try to be anywhere near that level, when I'm making my own costumes and everything. I'm currently working on um I'm such an idiot, but I wanted to do it. So I'm not remembering their names because it's been a really long time since I've seen The Witcher, but the two warrior women in the show,
Okay.
uh, the
And I
the
don't know their names either. I'm terrible. I'm a
yeah,
horrible
but they're
nerd.
the
I don't remember
protectors
their
of the
names.
the dragon eggs, though,
Yeah.
and I'm just
Yeah.
like, these are
Yeah.
badass, even though they
Uh,
were only in there for like, half of the season, or like, even like a minuscule minute of the season.
yeah.
They stood out to me so much.
Isn't that amazing though? Like I just love that there are, because that design and that character, there was something about that presence of that character on the screen or in the video game or whatever, like that spoke to you, even if it was just for a second.
Yep.
Um, I feel like that is, if I was to do costume design professionally, I would want to be the person that would create things like that, like just so much care and dedication into the
Mhm.
character, and really really considering the story behind that character, and like why is this weathered right here? Is it because this person is left-handed, and this is where they put their sword will come out, and it'll always rub up
Mhm.
against this one part, or whatever.
Yeah,
um,
right.
so I think that's great that you, as a cosplayer, you have been thinking about those kinds of things as you've been making your costumes,
Mhm.
and just bringing that into your filmmaking and your story writing and your character
Yeah.
creation is just like, it sounds like a dream. I feel like we should all be doing that, but it takes writing a story and world building, like you're saying, like that. I think that is literally like you're I don't know what I'm trying to. It's like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where they meet the architect at the end, who's like world building,
Yeah.
like creating everything.
Yeah.
It's just amazing, just
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, I
yeah,
always
so
feel like
inspired.
anyone on film sets, they have to be they have to be well-rounded, right? Like I've known directors who were director of photographies or who were actors before, and they're so much better as directors because they've had that experience.
Mhm.
You know, me as a costumer writing a story, it's like, how difficult am I making it for me, you know, or
Yeah.
this person later on, you know, if we have to hire someone
Hmm.
to make this, or how
Hmm.
simplistic, you know, are we doing it? And then also, how much is it going to cost? Because
Right.
that
Yeah.
all goes into budget, right? I know we find things for really, really inexpensive because that's how savvy we are,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
that was like my
Oh,
time in the
sure.
military where you know we'd I was an aviation electrician, so we'd like fix planes, right? But like a, a a nail that I could get at Home Depot for like 2 cents, we'd buy from our catalog for $75. And I'm like,
Oh.
those are budgeting issues.
Oh my God.
Major. So
What?
it's like always thinking about that. That's what I love that I did cosplay before I even got into film,
Uh-huh.
because it makes me so cognizant of um, adding all of these things into my scripts and
Yeah.
making sure that they, first of all, make sense, you
Yeah.
know. Third of all, they're cost efficient too,
Right.
because independent film right now is all about how much money you have or how much money you can save. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if I can save money in costuming that and spend it on getting better locations or getting food for my people, because I've
Yeah.
known sets where people have gone, you know, hours without eating anything, which is highly illegal. Um, then I will do that, and I will make it the best set that anyone has been on
Yeah.
ever if I can.
Wow. That is amazing. Ah, I just had a question for you. By the way, all of my questions that I have had for you, you have already been like, and another thing. Like, well, that was the next question I had for you. This is hilarious. Um,
We're on the
well,
same
how,
wavelength.
yeah, we're totally in the same wavelength. So how cool would it be if somebody cosplayed one of your characters from something that you would make? And I think that I'm sure that, yeah, it's gonna happen.
Well, I have already gotten fan art from being a part of
You
the
have.
Zombie Orpheus
Oh.
entertainment community. I've already gotten fan art because I was in one of their shows and I got to play a bard in this crazy elaborate costume. And someone sent me fan art of it, and I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I think I squealed over how talented they were, and they were like, "What are you talking about? This is for you." And I'm like, "No, you're so good. Are you kidding me? Like, what do I need to do to be more like you?" And they're just like, "What
Yeah.
do you like? You don't make any sense, right?" And it's just like I've never ever imagined myself ever like getting to that level or getting to that
Yeah.
point. You know, I even
Yeah.
had a friend literally actually yesterday message me, and he's like, "I just saw you in Grimm and Librarians. I didn't know you were a celebrity." And I was like, "Shut up." And he's like, "No, seriously, like I need to get your autograph." And I was like, "Shut up right now." He's like, "No, I am getting your autograph the next time I see you." And I was like, whatever, you know? And I'm just like, I'm so, Beverly, I'm so humbled. I don't even know how to
Well,
react to it because I'm so
that's
freaking humbled.
that's
Like,
that's that's why that's why I'm gonna start. I'm president of your fan club now,
no,
and we're gonna make t-shirts, and you're gonna have to sign our t-shirts and sign the
I,
prints and
I would
fan
do it
art and all
gladly,
that.
gladly until my fingers fell off. I've just learned not to fight it anymore
Yeah.
because I just, you know, like I said, growing up, I've never ever seen myself as anything important, right? So being a part of first of all, being a part of the cosplay community and, for getting a chance to judge in one instance and getting a chance to MC in another instance. And then, working in the film community and, having a show running on Amazon right now, it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. Like there is one instance, and I'll send you the video later if you want to see it. But like, I was a part of this short that I acted in, and it was very prevalent to everything that's going on right now, without all of the newer stuff, the BLM stuff that's been happening.
Yeah.
But my sister sat down with my mom and they watched the short. And mind you, it's only like 10, 12 minutes long. And she recorded my mom watching it. And my
Oh.
mom, you've already heard the stories about my
Oh
mom,
yeah. Yeah.
but she's just like watching this and she's like, uh-huh. So there's this whole conspiracy theory. There's this fog that enters the atmosphere and it starts killing people. So conspiracy theories start happening, and it's the whole premises of the short is kind of based off of like mustard gas, right? The
Okay.
main reason for mustard gas was to kill African Americans during the World War, or at least kill a specific race off
Mm.
first, and then leave other races around, right? So this amazing filmmaker, screenwriter, wrote this thing, and she's like, I would love for you to audition. And I was like, I don't know. This is I don't do horror because we're
Yeah.
always the first to go. And she's like, I wrote this, and I was like, I know, but and she's like, you'll love it. Just read it and let me. So we went to what was it? It's the pizza place, The Rock. We went to The Rock Pizza, and I
Okay.
read the script, and I was just like, I want to do this. Like, I want to do this. So I'm this doctor who is, and we're all stuck on a bus, and the film short is called Wretch. We're stuck in a bus. All of a sudden, this gas comes in. People start dying. We're like, what the hell's going on? Right? And I'm like, I know what's going on, because like I'm a doctor,
Because you're the
right?
doctor.
Yeah,
You're the
right?
smartest person on the bus.
I'm the
Yes.
smartest person on the bus, but no one ever
Yeah.
listens to the smartest
Right.
person, right?
No.
So there's this like one point where there's this Muslim guy, and I confront him, and one of the conspiracy theories was like it was a Muslim attack, right? And this guy is like, well, I'm not even Muslim, so I don't know what you guys are talking about. And I'm Muslim, right? So I like confront him and I'm like, so I'm Muslim. You have a problem with that? And you hear my mom, you tell him. Go ahead. She has no idea it's me, Beverly. No idea.
Oh my
That's what I'm
gosh, really?
saying. She has no idea that it's me in this film. So my sister's like, you don't recognize her, mom? And she's like, oh no, she's a good actress. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
She's like telling my sister to shush so she can watch it and everything. And there's this one part where I don't know which part that she was watching. She finally saw my face, and my sister's like, "Mom, do you not know who that is?" And she's like, "Oh, oh, is that a yes? Oh my god! Oh!" And like she jumps up, and I'm like, "Really, Mom? It took you 10 minutes to realize it was me."
But
She's,
you did such a great job with the
she,
character, and you were like
she's like,
completely you transformed into
"Yeah."
that character so well that she didn't even recognize you.
Yeah, she's like, honestly, I didn't recognize you. Um, and I was like, well, you always wanted me to be a doctor, so here's our compromise. Play a doctor on TV. And she's like, that's not the same. Shut up your mouth. I was like, okay, well, I tried. But yeah, no, it was
That's
really
so
fun,
great.
like doing that. But then also like surprising friends, because so many people will get screen captures of me from different television shows, and they're just like, I swear to God, I thought this was you. And I was like, no, not all Black people look alike. But fine,
Oh,
that was me.
oh. Oh my
And
God.
it was just like, oh my God. And they're like, no, that was me. You're fine. I'm like,
You were
whoa,
oh my
okay. I did not want to
gosh.
offend you. And I
That's
was like,
so
no, you
funny.
didn't offend me. It's cute. No, seriously. There's like even one Netflix show that I was on.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it wasn't like I had lines or anything, but you could literally see me like right in the beginning. And it is the longest title you can ever think of. It's like, I don't know my place in this world anymore, or something like that, something crazy with Elijah Wood. And it
Oh.
came out like I want to say 3 or 4 years ago. And you see me in the first 5 minutes of the film, and I'm bagging groceries. And someone was like, "I swear to God, I thought that was you." And I was like, "Yeah, that was me." They're like, "You got to film with Elijah Wood?" I was like, "Yeah, and he's really tiny."
Oh.
But it was so fun because it was like, getting that, and then people are just like, "I need your autograph. I really do." And I'm just
Yeah.
like, "No, no, 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 no."
Yes, yes, yes,
No,
yes.
no, no. How about I
We
just
need
give you a
to.
massive hug and you come over and we hang out and play video games, or, we work on the next torture chamber that we're going to put ourselves through when, we have a convention coming up.
You know, I think I know I speak for myself as well as the people that I know love you. Please allow us to celebrate you.
It's so
What would
hard.
you
It
tell
really,
me? What would you say to me?
I do it to you all the time though.
I
I'm
know,
just
but if I was resistant,
which
what
you
would you,
are.
which I am, but I am working on it. I see what you're doing. You're not going to get away with this.
What are you
Oh
talking
my
about? I have no idea
gosh.
what you're talking about.
All right. Well, I would love to know so it sounds like you found you started correct me if I'm getting the order of progression
Yeah.
wrong. It sounds like you started with writing prose. Did you write
Yes.
you started with that and then
Yeah.
you moved
I
to
started writing stories first, yeah. And then I did
then
poetry.
poetry and
And
then
then cosplay
cosplay. I was going to say
years
that.
later,
Okay.
obviously,
Okay.
years
And
later.
then cosplay.
And then I got into acting. Well,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, cosplay and acting kind of was hand in hand, but I do did do cosplay first
Okay.
before I did like full blown like actual like principal acting where I had lines and all of that. My first acting experience was, a stage performance for my high school, and I foobarred my audition because I was bloody nervous. Um, I'm pretty sure I pissed my pants. I
Yeah.
don't remember because I blacked the whole thing out. But yeah, it was
Oh,
it was one of those things. I was so angry at myself because I had gotten such amazing advice from my teacher, who I was into auditioning in front of, and it has actually led me to be a better cosplayer.
hmm
Like embodying these characters and pretending to be these different personalities, which has eventually in turn got me to be a better actress,
hmm
which has gotten me to be a better writer too. To write stories that make sense. You
Yeah.
know, like I really don't think that if someone was in a dark house and they heard a noise, that they would go towards the noise. It doesn't
No,
matter
who
what
does
color
that?
you are.
Why
It
does
doesn't
that?
matter what
Why
color
is
you
that?
are.
Why is that a thing? And why do people ever split up?
Yeah. Oh. Oh.
Um, well, you were once again answering a question that I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you how has the because it sounds like you were cosplayer and then acting, but then all those two things kind of are traveling, maybe not at this, I don't know, are they traveling at the same speed or are you like bouncing, feeding one into the other, and it's just you're just becoming this rolling like talent of just everything that you do. I mean, it seems so intertwined
It
that
is.
you're just layering on top of, bouncing back and forth, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, obviously trying to build myself as a creative, right? As much as possible, and
hmm
and trying to get my hands into so many different avenues
hmm
that I feel are respectful to who I want to be as a person and as a creator. Um, Cosplay was very, very important to me because I didn't start off as a regular cosplayer. Like I started off as a Rennie, in the Ren Fair community, actually, right when I was on the outskirts of getting out of active duty service and transitioning over to active reserve, and then later inactive reserve with the United States Navy. And I love the Ren Fair world. Absolutely, absolutely loved Renaissance festivals. And then when I finally moved out here, I was told by a coworker that, you know, our Ren Fair was looking for more people to be fairies. And I was like, holy shit, how did you know I am a fairy? And she was like, I figured your personality. Um, and so, you know, I started with the Ren Fair world and building my costume from there, right? What kind of costume did I feel was the best of being a fairy? And then that turned into a friend inviting me to a convention. And mind you, I have heard of conventions before, but I didn't know that I had heard of conventions before, because one of my best friends back on the East Coast used to table conventions. And she told me what they were. And I was
Okay.
like, you're crazy. That's weird. Why would anybody do that shit? And and then I went to PAX and I was like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And I had told her, and she's like, you do realize you just made fun of me for doing that. And I was like, oh no, you were doing something different. You were like sitting around and you were at a con or something. And she's like, you know, a convention is a con,
It's a
right? And
con.
I was like, no,
You know, everyone has to
shit.
learn that eventually. It didn't enter your life at that right point.
It didn't.
So,
It really didn't.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was kicking myself for it. But,
Yeah.
you know, I first got into cosplay when I did my second year at PAX because I saw, you know, all of these different people dressed up as all these different characters. And I was like, can we can do that? Like, we can do this? And so my first ever cosplay I put together was Lela from Futurama,
Oh,
because she's a badass woman
oh, I love
with
her.
one eye.
I absolutely
And
love her.
she always puts men in their place, right? And I was like, and my friend wanted to do Fry, and I was like, I am so for this,
Oh, that's
right?
amazing.
So I got my first hot glue gun, and I got my first wigged and styled it and dyed it. Hair dye.
Wow.
Oh Lord.
Oh my
Never ever
gosh.
used clothing dye on hair on a wig. Ever.
Oh,
Uh, yeah. So yeah, that was fun. And we got so many photos. I met Phil Lamar, and he was like, I want to take a photo with you. And I was like, I can't really see you. He's
oh
like,
my
is your depth
gosh.
perception off? And I was like, ha ha ha.
Oh, that is the
So
best.
it was awesome. It was so freaking cool.
Oh, that's
And it
great.
made me fall in love. I had
Yeah,
such a great
yeah.
experience cosplaying, getting pictures taken of me and my friend, you know, with their pizza box and
Yeah.
everything. And I was just like, I like this. This is my family. I'm gonna do this from now on.
Oh,
And
I I feel like a lot of people's experience has started like that, just like with just overwhelming, like this community is just incredible and this is
yeah,
fun and it feels like a safe space most of the time
most of the
and yeah, most of the time. That's for another
time.
podcast.
That's yeah, definitely. Definitely.
uh,
But no, I love the cosplay community. I'm just like I said, I don't think I would have lasted mentally as long if I didn't have you guys. You guys have absolutely been my family away from my family. And yeah, I don't know what I would do if I hadn't met you and so many other people, because I mean, I see the stuff that you're doing and I'm just like, how do I know her? Like, I don't
You realize that
know.
we could
How do
have
I
this
know?
conversation all day long where I'm just throwing this all right back into your court.
No.
Sorry, listeners. We're just gonna, Abby and I are just gonna be complimenting each other for the rest of this episode.
I
Get ready.
was just person like even know me? Like, how did, oh my God,
Oh, you
she's
stop it.
looking at
Stop
me.
it.
I don't even know what to do. And I do it with
That's
Tina
it.
a lot too. Like,
Yeah.
we just go back and forth and we're just like, did she please look in my direction? Oh my gosh, she just looked at me. Holy God.
Oh my God.
That's why I have the hair, so I can hide my face every single time.
Well, I feel super fortunate that that our experiences can be positive and life-changing. And
Yeah.
I think that a lot of cosplayers, especially new ones, feel the same way, that it's just this overwhelming, like, I finally found my people. How many
Mhm.
times have you heard that, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Um, I mean, it is not a
Lost.
perfect. It's not perfect. It's not perfect, but I feel like if you could find your group and you find your people,
Mhm.
that it's like finding your new family a lot of the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, we
And
definitely
it's
have to. I
yeah,
mean, being how we are, we have to find our family wherever we can get them, right? Like,
that's
it's
for
so
sure.
hard to
Yeah.
love our own family, first of all,
Yeah.
especially the ones that drive you crazy.
Oh, for sure.
And then, be able to say, my family's over there, but I feel like I can be mentally sound with you
Mm,
because I know that you're someone that I'm always going to trust.
yeah.
And it's very hard for me to trust people too because of the military experience. And, I have a very competitive family. And so, a lot of the times we do a lot of backstabbing with each other, but that's how family is.
Mm,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, we kind of just have to find our family wherever we can get them and hold on as tight as we possibly can because they're
Yeah.
very important to us.
Yes. I think that and I know that you feel the same, like conventions because of Corona, not not being able to go to
Yeah,
conventions is like not being able to see your family for a long time. So I feel
absolutely.
fortunate that I can get people like you, my friends, on this podcast because it
Yeah,
is self-serving. Come on, it
it
really
is.
is. I get to use this little space to tell the whole world about how amazing you are, and get to the chance to really talk to you because I feel like we have also, like many other people who have met each other in the cosplay scene, we haven't had this much time to really talk one on one.
No.
And like listeners and people who are watching, we were talking on the phone, We were talking for a long time before we even started recording this podcast.
I
So,
was just gonna say
um,
the same.
yeah, yeah, it's been a long time. It's been a long time, and I think that we just needed to have this conversation. It's been really great. It's been
Yeah,
hard to connect during this time,
these times,
and for
yeah.
a lot of us introverts that kind of rely on those that set schedule, those conventions that you go to every year, that you go to and you know who to expect there and you look forward to it and you get like all amped because you're finally going to see your family again and like you prepare, and then now all of that is kind of gone, and it's for a good reason, but I am really excited to see you again to get another
Yeah.
hug sometime
I
soon.
I definitely
Hopefully.
can't wait. I
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that like everything else has been canceled since I mean up to September now, right? September,
Yeah, and
Rose City.
I'm sure that yeah, Emerald City was canceled. Rose City canceled even before Emerald City. The second date was canceled.
Okay.
Dragon Con has been canceled, right?
Yep. No,
Dragon
not
Con
yet,
canceled?
actually. Dragon
No,
Con has
it's
not.
gonna be canceled, I'm sure.
Anaheim has though. Star Wars Celebration has.
Yeah.
Crypticon finally just canceled.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
I mean, the only issue I have with Dragon Con is the hotels are being absolutely nice, right, about this whole thing, saying, hey, if we don't want to do the gauntlet, next year, we can move our
Yeah.
reservations to next year, or we can just cancel, no penalties. But I mean, we've all still purchased our photos. I mean, our tickets to the event. I have friends who, oh, that's another thing that I do. I book celebrities for conventions. So
Another
being
hat
in
that
the
you wear.
being in the film community, I know a lot of people from a lot of television shows, who want to be in the convention market because they want to meet the fans, they want to meet the people. And so I have this as a gateway, being a convention goer, being on the film side, and being able to merge those two worlds together. I've had a lot of friends who I've booked for Dragon Con, or who were going to Dragon Con, being booked through a different agent, um, that can't go anymore,
Yeah.
either because of travel restrictions from a
Right.
different country,
Right.
or because they don't want to be around 90,000 people,
Oh,
even if
sure.
they don't have a health issue, they
Right.
don't want to have to be around that many people and then
Yeah.
bringing that stuff home, to
Right.
their family and stuff like that.
Right.
So, I
Right. We've seen
completely
that
get
that
it.
does not work. Yeah.
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 And it's like you
Yeah.
have all these people that want to get their money back, and they're not offering people the opportunity to get refunds. And I'm like, I would understand if I was canceling because of just my own reasons, and just something came up or whatever, but this is like a national, international pandemic that is
Right.
happening right now, and you guys are not offering people. I get that you have to wait for force majeure, but
Yeah.
I would at least put something out saying, hey, we are waiting for force majeure, or like
Hmm.
private message those people who do have issues and say,
Right.
hey, we understand that you're concerned. We're sending you this private message to let you know that, we are waiting. We're just
Yeah.
waiting right now,
Yeah.
but, we are
Yeah.
planning on canceling or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
They haven't given
Yeah.
anybody anything yet. So it's just like, and Dragon Con, how busy it can be over
Oh
there. How
yeah.
many,
It's
the
insane.
movability with
I've only been
wings.
there once. I've only been to one Dragon Con, and I would love to go again. And not this year, sadly. Maybe, I mean, it would be great to fun to go next year. We'll see what
Hmm.
happens next year. An asteroid might hit the planet between now
I
and
mean,
next year.
we have
That's kind of where we're
people
going.
we have people who are not astronauts on Mars, or at least in
Yeah.
the space station. So, who's to say that can't happen?
Right.
One of
Exactly.
these days, we are going to go to a different planet in our lifetime. And that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah. I really hope so. I That would be so cool. Um
Asteroids.
uh I hate to say that we are nearing the end of our chat time.
Oh no.
Um I know, I know. Well, let's just I really want to talk again sometime, and
Yeah,
maybe after, you know, your project can move forward a little bit, we can
absolutely. I would love to bring
talk
you
about
on
that.
set too, if you're not
Ooh.
busy, whenever we can get things started again.
Oh
I
my
definitely
gosh.
would love
Yeah.
to. I know
I would
that you
love
have
that.
a day job too, an adult job and
Well,
everything, but
we'll
would
make room
definitely
for
love
that.
to. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Cool.
And is there a way, like, can we support your film at all? Is there anything that we can do to help
Yeah,
at all?
so the Kickstarter for the film isn't up yet because
Okay.
we wanted to be cognizant of, you know, people's financial situations.
Mm-hmm.
We want people to be able to donate because they can donate, and
Yeah.
not because they feel like they would be sacrificing something else if they donate to this. So we all on the production side felt that we wanted to wait until the community got back to
Yeah.
some semblance of non-normality,
Yeah.
before we,
Right.
launched the either Kickstarter or Indiegogo. We're trying to figure out which platforms we want to use because we want to make
Okay.
sure we're using inclusive platforms,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
also, and make sure we have a time so that if we have to wait until next year again, when people get their income tax refunds,
Right.
um,
Right.
to
Right.
possibly launch
Right.
by then.
Right.
The one wonderful thing is that I've had sponsors who are interested in at least doing the trailer and the first story. Um, and so, we definitely want to make sure that that happens. So, as soon as we get that underway, because that's going to be a smaller crew, obviously.
Mhm.
We'll only have the camera person and the location and the 1 or 2 or 3 people, that are supposed to be on set instead of a big film set.
Mhm.
Uh, Hopefully sometime this year. I actually will be in Portland. I don't know if we're still doing it in August. It was originally supposed to be in August. I'm not sure if that's going to be changed, but I'm supposed to be on a production with a friend who has me as assistant director, and then another one where he has me as the main actress, which is another horror one. I'm signing myself up for these, and I'm an idiot, but I'm doing it. There's another horror story where I am a detective that was kidnapped by a serial killer who, and I was kidnapped and abused by the serial killer, and I end up escaping, bringing him to justice with this. So I have this false narrative within myself, and lack of self confidence due to bringing him in, but everyone else feeling like I'm this big hero. And it's sick. It's so sick and so crazy.
Oh,
But it's like
yeah.
there's a show that I literally just saw about this where someone was sending out subliminal messages, not very much like this, but something along the same lines. They were sending out tapes with subliminal messages, and what the subliminal messages did was they brought out your inner beast, so
Mm.
that your raw emotions, right? So that you had no care in the world, and it was kind of like Purge,
Okay.
where you would just go out into the street, and if you just had issues with anybody, you got rid of them. That's it, done.
Okay.
And it's very like explicit, some of the things that happen, and I'm just like, I want to do this. I don't know
Wow.
what's wrong with me when it comes to horror movies, because I don't like horror movies. And here I am putting
Wow.
myself in another series apparently that just got optioned for 3 seasons.
Oh,
um
that's very cool.
yeah,
Awesome.
and he's a storyteller from Netflix, so I'm hoping that this is a thing where it could possibly get picked up. We don't know, but I'll be in Portland because it's gonna film in Portland
Okay.
for a month, and so I'll be staying down there. I'll probably take some time off of work so that way I don't have to work while I'm doing that. But yeah, I'll be down in Portland. We had it set up for August, but it looks like that's going to change
Yeah.
because
Okay.
um, pandemic. So
Yeah.
it might be September, it might be October, but
Well,
I
you just let me know.
will be down there, and I will let you know so that way I can come and give you a hug.
Yes. Oh, that would be
um,
lovely. I would love that so much. Yes.
and definitely,
Yes.
if we have the means of doing it, depending on what our country, what our world looks like, get
Yeah.
a chance to invite you guys out because I'd love to have you
Yeah.
there,
That
obviously.
would be that would be so cool. I would love to see.
Just
I would
masks
love
on.
to do that. Thank you. Yes, all the masks. Masks all the time.
All the time.
Um, well, very cool. So, where, if someone was interested in following your work, or where can one go to follow your production company or any of your projects? Let's have the list.
I'm on all the medias of social.
Mhm.
I'm on the Book of Faces. I'm on the Gram of Instas, and I'm on the Twitterverse. All the same. They're at BabsEK79, BABEKS. Oh, sorry, BABSEK79, BabsEK. And they're all same different forms, so you can subscribe to any one of them.
Okay.
They're all showing the same information about any you know events that we go to. If we do go to an event, if the production goes to an event, we were supposed to go to Gen Con this year, and that got canceled too.
Oh,
uh,
everything's
uh,
canceled.
Everything is 2020 is canceled.
2020 is canceled.
um yeah, but like any like future type stuff, any crowd fund campaigns that we have going on. We just did the Pride Nights, so I was spreading that around. And the Pride Nights are like knights in shining armor of the Pride LGBTQ universe, all in different
Awesome.
colors of the Pride flag. And we were giving people the ability to get us as D&D miniatures. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, so
oh, that's
it
so
was
cool.
really cool. It just ended, unfortunately. But I'm pretty sure they'll open up the Kickstarter, or at least they'll open up the store so that people, have the ability to either download the 3D model, or just buy them from the store itself. So yeah, but those social media platforms will always have things going on,
Okay.
except for Twitter.
All right.
Twitter's more political.
Oh,
So I don't
Twitter's a
know if
dumpster
people want
fire
to see
most
me
of the
rant
time.
on things, but
Yeah, me
definitely
too.
follow the page.
Okay.
Definitely follow the Instaverse.
Okay.
I don't know so much about Twitter
Yeah.
though.
Yeah. Well, I'll put links to all those things in the show notes for the YouTube version of this, and yeah, and then if listeners, if you are watching, please subscribe, and
Yes, please
yes,
subscribe.
please subscribe. It would be very
SheProppers are
cool to,
amazing.
yes, please. And then if you aren't part of our community and you want to be a part of our community, you can find us on Instagram and just follow along. You can also do the same thing over on Facebook and Twitter. But we also have a Facebook community, which is a closed community and a safe space for those that identify as female, non-binary, or trans. And it's cosplay artist maker community. So please come find us over there, and you can find Abie there too.
Yes.
Um, yeah. So, all right. Well, gosh, let's do this again. And
Yeah,
because I want to follow your work because it's just, I'm fascinated. If you can't tell,
I would love that. I would definitely,
fascinated.
definitely love that.
All right. Well, thank you everyone that is watching and listening. Thank you again for being here. Please go support Abie and all of her projects because she is a
Yeah,
beautiful human and
thank
she's
you.
amazing. And
Thank
we need
you.
more Abies in the world. And yeah, all right. Well, that's it for now. Thanks so much, Abie.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.